For our model today, we have a lot of hair to work with. This is going to be a really exciting haircut. What we're going to do is we're going to keep the top longer. We're going to give a nice taper around the outline of the haircut. And what we're going to have today is we're going to have a slightly disconnected haircut. And what I mean by disconnected is on the sides here, on the top, especially in the front. The model has a lot of hair, which he would like to keep longer in the front. But we're going to have a nice taper underneath, and we're going to layer that in. So the hair in the front is going to kind of hang over a little bit, but we need the longer length on top so we can either comb the hair straight back. For this particular style, this model likes to slick his hair straight back, but we can also let the hair fall down. We can go one side, we can go to the other side. So with longer hair on top, we have that versatility. And so I'm going to show you a few different techniques. Called over-directing is one of them, where we're actually going to over-direct the hair back to the middle of the ear when we cut the top and use that as our guide. And that's what's going to give us the longer length in front. So when we look at the top length, we're basically going to have this type of angle if you were to pick it straight up. So that means it's going to be a lot longer in the front than it is going to be in the back. And as we spin the client around, you can see he has a lot of hair in the back, very thick, so we're going to have to use some different texturizing techniques with a couple different size thinning shears and also a straight razor. And he has a pretty difficult hairline, so we're gonna taper that out. We're going to actually do a 1 to 2 finger taper or fade right around the outline of the haircut. And then by thinning out and layering the underneath portion, that hair is going to lay down easier, so it's not going to be puffed out so far. So what we want to do, what we want to start out with first is we're going to freshly shampoo them so we get the hair wet down all the way through, and we're going to be able to control it better. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to section the hair off to one side, and we're going to cut the underneath. And then we're going to do the same thing in the back and on the other side instead of clipping it up. So right now we're going to freshly shampoo the hair, and we're going to come back and start the haircut. Okay, so we're right at the middle of the ear, and I'm going to take just about an inch off. Not a lot because we want the top to be the longest. So now that we made our first cut, this is going to serve as our guide as we work our way throughout the rest of the haircut. I like to use a traveling guide, meaning I always have the previous guide in my hand. I don't like to drop the hair, because once I drop the hair and then take another section, you're in danger of it not being that even. So as long as I have the tension on the hair and that hair in my hands, I'm going to comb the hair back. And as I rotate the comb, that hair is still in there, and I have my previous guide right there underneath, so I know exactly what I'm doing. Now I want to take very small sections. That way I ensure that the hair is going to be cut evenly. If I take wide sections, I'm going to have to cross-check and come back the other way, and you're going to see, and if you don't take sections small enough, you're going to see little weight lines, which we don't want to. So I'm going to take one more section here, and now I'm going to spin the client around and show you what we're going to do in the back. So that was our traveling guide. So now our traveling guide becomes stationary. So traveling obviously means traveling, the guide moves. Stationary means the guide stays right where it is. So now that guide stays where it is. I don't want to cut the hair too short in the back and have it standing up, but at the same token, I don't want to guess. So I'm just going to comb that, make one section right across, right where his split, his natural break in the back is, which you can see right there. And we're going to comb that straight up. I still haven't let go of my guide. And we're going to comb that forward. So in the front, we over-directed back. In the back, we're over-directing forward. So now that gives us with the hair longer in the back, so it's not going to stand up, and longer in the front, so it's going to hang over. And I'm going to take a higher section here, and I'm going to start my layering. And what this is going to do is this is going to create a guide for my clipper over comb technique, my clipper work from the bottom up. And then once we get all that blended in, then we'll use our texturizing techniques to thin the hair out so it doesn't push the top out too far. So I know that's a lot, but we'll go slow, we'll take it step by step. So what I'm doing is I'm using vertical sections and I'm using my traveling guide. So I'm taking very small sections. So the smaller the section, the more even your haircut's going to be. You're not going to have any clipper marks. If you take sections that are too wide, what's going to happen is you're going to wind up missing hair, and the hair is going to get longer as you get towards the front. So another rule I have is I make one cut, then I put the hair in at a 45-degree angle, I rotate the comb, and I put pressure on the head so I have tension on the hair. So even without holding with my fingers, I have the tension on my hair, and then I re-grip. So it's 2 moves. So I take 2 sections, and then I either turn the chair or I move my feet. And if I don't do either, what's going to happen is I'm going to start reaching, and my body's going to lean over, and I'm going to wind up, the comb is going to wind up going lower and lower because I'm reaching, and the hair is going to be longer towards the front. I want it even all the way across. So I'm going to angle my comb. My comb is going to be angled, so I meet my guide. I cut to my guide, but I don't cut my guide. And I'm also angled out a little farther towards the front to allow for that hair to be longer in the temple area. Okay, and the whole time I'm cutting, what I want to do is I want to comb the hair, or as I like to say, keep the hair neat while I'm cutting. I don't like it messy. I want to make sure that when I make a few cuts, I comb the hair and make sure it's doing what I want it to do. So it's combing back nicely. I'm following the contour of the head shape. And now we're going to work on the back, so I'm going to drop it down just a little bit lower in the back. So I want to meet my guide, but I don't want to cut my guide. So I'm just taking an imaginary line, I'm combing down, taking an imaginary line straight up in the air until I run out of hair. And that way we're going to eliminate leaving a mushroom or a weight line that needs to be blended out. So I'm going to do half the head. And now as we start, I'm starting very close to the head at the bottom, just to work on tapering out that hairline. So now all of a sudden it doesn't look as scary as it did when we first started. It just kind of works itself out, versus if you do the outline first, you're going to have to do it twice. So always do the outline last.
Are you a member of HowToCutHair.tv? Learn the art of men's barbering from third-generation master barber Greg Zorian in full HD, 24/7 from anywhere in the world. Sign up for your free membership and learn how to increase your efficiency and make more money behind the chair. HowToCutHair.tv.
It doesn't pull or drag on the hair at all. The slower I move it, the more thickness I'm going to take out. The faster I move it, the less thickness I'm going to take out. So I'm going to move it at a slow pace because I want to take quite a bit of thickness out. Now as I comb that hair down and comb it across, you can see the difference, how it's laying down better. And I'm going to go through all the way to the front right temple with this technique. I'm going to hold the comb at a 45-degree angle or diagonal. And then every time I make a few passes, I'm going to comb the hair and see how it's behaving and make sure it's combing into place. Now when I comb the hair back, you can see the difference. It just stays there. And now we're going to do the same thing in the front. Again, we have to be careful when we get in front of the ear. going to section that off and comb it over. And again, we want to section it lower because we want to leave more hair on top. And then what we're going to do, because the hair is dried out a little bit, we want to give it a little bit of water, a little bit of spritz, so it stays over. And the fine teeth of the comb will help also. So now you can see on this side, our guide is up here. So now we want to blend to that. So on this side, we did scissor over fingers, 2 sections, and we blended it in with clipper over comb. Now what I want to show you is how you could do the whole thing with clipper over comb and eliminate those first 2 steps and wind up with the same results. So I'm going back to my detachable blade clipper, rotary motor clipper, and now we're going to do it all clipper over comb. So we're going to start out in tight at the bottom. And I can see the guide in I can see the previous guide in my comb at all times. And as I said, now we're eliminating picking it up with our fingers and taking those vertical sections. So that eliminates a step, but it does not sacrifice quality at all. It increases our, and I don't like to use the word speed, it increases our efficiency because we're accomplishing the same thing, but with 2 less steps. So now as we come towards the back, we're going to bend the head straight down, okay? And I don't want anybody to get intimidated when you see a hairline like this. All we're going to do is we're going to lay that comb flat on the neckline, and we're going to use it like an attachment and roll it out. So basically we have 1/16, 1/8, quarter, 3/8. So it would be like using 1, 2, 3, and 4. So your number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 attachments. And that works to taper right out without taking the attachment combs on and off. Because we want to clean out all that excess hair before we go in with the open blade and use our scooping motion and finalize the taper. And when we're on the bottom, that comb or the clipper blade is always parallel to the floor. And then we're going to come in at a little bit of an angle on the side. And we're going to soften that line up in the corner. So when we come back with our outliner, we get a nice straight diagonal line. So now on the other side, I want to keep the comb parallel to the floor. I don't want to round. It's tempting to round here because his hairline is higher up in this corner here than it is in this corner. So we want to try to match them up the best we can. And then he has a thinner spot here and here. So you're going to find that with a lot of guys. So the closer we can taper it, this 1 finger width at the bottom, then you're not going to see these 2 thinner spots. So nobody's hairline is perfect. Everybody's hairline is different, and we have to work with the hairline we've been given. And we're going to taper that out and finalize the fade on the neckline. So that comb, or the clipper blade stays parallel to the floor and parallel to the outline of the hair. Okay, so we're going to go all the way across with the blade open first. And on this side, the hair's growing straight up, so I'm going to take the clipper and go down. So we want a nice clean line there. Okay, we're going to clean up the hair on the neck. And then just a little bit on the corner of the beard here so it blends in with the neckline. We want a nice sharp outline there. Now we're going to spin them around and we're going to clean up the hair on the neck right down to the t-shirt line. I don't want to get close to the hairline because if I put a little nick or a hole in that hairline, then we're going to have to raise it up.
Introducing Zorian of New York, premium grooming products for the modern man, designed by third-generation master barber Greg Zorian. Made in the USA and not tested on animals, each of our styling products is infused with natural ingredients and features light, clean fragrances. Our 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner is sulfate and paraben-free and color-safe. Do you own a barbershop or salon, rent a chair, or run a school? Find out how we support our retailers with world-class barbering education and product knowledge training. We're currently accepting applications for wholesale accounts and invite you to apply on our website, Zorian of New York.
We're going to go with a straight slick back hairstyle. That's how we're going to style it. We're going to use our Zorian of New York pomade to style it. But the first thing that we want to do is we want to blow dry it all straight back so that way the pomade is going to grip the hair better and you're going to get a much stronger hold when the hair is dry. So basically what I want to do is I want to use a hair dryer with a nozzle on it to direct the heat. I want to use a vent brush and we're going to dry all the hair straight back. So what's going to happen is initially it's going to be a little bit puffy, but then once we put the pomade on it and comb it back, brush it back and slick it all straight back, it'll fall right down into place. The main thing is that we have the haircut correct and then we blow dry and style the hair correctly. So this is what I find to be kind of the missing step. A lot of guys want to rush through their style in the morning. If you don't dry the hair and style it properly, it's not going to come out right. If the hair is slightly damp or too wet, it dilutes the product. You're not going to have enough hold and the hair is not going to slick back. Or in another case, if you're going to comb it to the side, either way, it's not going to stay. Okay, now we've finished blow drying the hair. So we have it blow drying all straight back. And that's why we wanted to leave the hair so much longer on top and longer in the front so that hair would stay back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our Zorian of New York classic pomade. It has the all-natural ingredients of jojoba and ginseng in it. So what we want to do is we want to take, obviously since he has a lot of hair, we want to take an ample amount, a good amount there, maybe just a touch more, because we want to really slick it down. So about that much. This is a water-soluble product, so even though we're using that much and it's going to slick it back really good, it will rinse out in the shower just with 30 seconds of water. And then it shampoos out real easy and there's no leftover residue. So what we want to do is we want to emulsify the product in our hands. We want to get that through there really good. Okay, I want to spread it thoroughly throughout. And then I want to take my fingers first and get it right down to the roots. And after we get it down to the roots, it's still on your hands really good. So we want to really press that down and really slick it back. So what this is going to do is it's going to show off the shape. It's going to show off the shape of the haircut, and it's going to show off the taper as well. So want to get that, again, right down to the roots. We're going to slick that back, and at the end we're going to give it just a little bit of lift in the front, but the first thing we need to do is comb it all the way through. So I want to take a really strong comb and then a vent brush and comb it all the way through. So step number one is we're going to take a strong comb that through first, all the way through. And then we're going to take a vent brush and we're going to comb it through again. Now all along I still have the product on my hand, so especially on the sides, I'm pushing it down as I'm combing it. I have that product on my hands as well. Okay, and then at the very end, we just want to push down on the front a little bit and push it forward just a touch, just to give it a little bit of lift in the front so it's not so perfectly slicked down. And then as I spin them around, you can see how that really shows off that nice natural taper. The sides are laying down nicely. I mean, if you remember in the beginning, he had really thick hair. So that taper and that graduated outline really makes that long hair on top stand out. So again, for a quick review, how we style the hair, we dried it through thoroughly. So the product would work better, would have a lot more hold because it's water soluble. Again, it's a classic pomade from the Zorian of New York, a line featuring the all-natural ingredients of jojoba and ginseng. Water-based, it's going to rinse out really easily, and the hold will last all day.